Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel for this year. It has been a little bit of a long time coming, especially this month, considering my small little absence. I'm absolutely fine. In fact, I'm more than better. Let's just dive straight into this thing. So with Valentine's coming up, we often like to see Valentine's as a way to celebrate each other. If you have a love interest or a friend or somebody whom you're interested in, we'd like to see Valentine's as a way to celebrate them and to give them love. But today I want to talk about giving ourselves love. And we can do this by exploring our shadow functions and by being okay with those shadow functions, by being okay with our shadow selves, being okay with the things that maybe we don't like to talk about in society, the struggles that we constantly go through, the things where we deem people judge us by. You guys all know me by now. I'm very open and comfortable with talking about challenges that I personally face. And I know that a lot of you guys also relate to it. So speaking of Valentine's, Luisa has partnered with me again for their Valentine special. Despite the cliches surrounding Valentine's Day, there's something actually incredibly meaningful about the reason jewelry makes the perfect gift. It's a deeply personal experience. What we choose to wear reflects who we are as individuals. I wear jewelry not solely as a stylistic statement, but also as a statement of my inner core values. One of those values is that I deeply care about our home, planet Earth, and prefer to wear jewelry that I know is ethical and sustainable. As a wearer, I know that you or your loved ones need a deeper sentiment when it comes to what you wear too. Ana Luisa understands this, which is why they have revamped what it means to wear luxury jewelry by bringing ethics, sustainability, and fair prices to the otherwise one-dimensional jewelry industry. They want to make sure that you can deliver those important values this Valentine's Day. So they're offering 15% off all products until February the 2nd if you're located in the USA, or February the 5th if you're international. You can be confident that their versatile range means there's something right for you, especially considering the pieces are of top quality. And the handling of these noble metals are through 100% carbon neutral methods. Make Valentine's Day mean more than simply gifting a beautiful piece of jewelry to the ones that you admire. Click on the link in the description box to receive 15% off your chosen items today. I was so excited when I saw that they actually had a Morning Star necklace as part of their collection, and I had to grab one straight away because, of course, Morning Star is the name given to me by my stepdad, Grandfather Whitebear, who gifted me the name Morning Star in the Sweat Lodge. The name in itself means the divine feminine and the connecting to the feminine part of oneself. And it's something that I constantly do. I do it on my channel every time I upload. So many of you would have come across shadow functions. You probably have researched it online and figured things out for yourself. And of course, I like to use my own experiences on this channel to explain how I perceive certain things within the MBTI or just the human condition in general. It's really important to be okay with our shadow selves because we are made up of both light and darkness. It's the balance, it's the yin and the yang. And to be okay with our darkness amplifies our lightness. And then from there, we can therefore become much balanced kinds of people in our everyday lives. And really, that is what this channel is all about. It's about exploring our shadow selves, exploring the things about us that we don't like talking about in society, talking about online, things that we hide from people in fear of judgment, things that we beat ourselves up for. But I'm here to tell you that we can explore these things and be okay with them, be accepting of them. It doesn't mean to say that we should live with them and be happy about it. But self-improvement starts with accepting the things about ourselves that we may want to change. So just a brief introduction on the shadow functions, and I won't go into depth. because I want to rather focus on what they actually are and my experience with them. So as we understand the cognitive functions, which of course are the primary, secondary, auxiliary, and inferior functions, we also have our functions flipped over, which are our shadow selves. And this shadow self comes out generally when a person, an individual, may be incredibly stressed out. It's a part of ourselves that we don't base our main part of our personalities on. Like, for example, when you meet someone and you're explaining who you are, you're going to explain the parts of yourself that you see more in a positive light, and that's kind of like your baseline. But when we talk about the shadow functions, these come out when we are going through life, through stresses of life, through hardships, through traumas, through things that we may not want to show people on an outside front. But these are very much a part of us as our cognitive functions. It's just something that we view privately, and perhaps we may push away and pretend that they're not there. But in fact, pushing these away does tend to magnify them, make them worse, because we're not exploring the part of our personalities that we may find scary or ugly or ugh. So as you can see on your screen, we have our primary stack, which of course is introverted feeling, extroverted intuition, introverted sensing, and extroverted thinking. And then the shadow functions are extroverted feeling, introverted intuition, extroverted sensing, and introverted thinking. And they are known as opposing, critical, trickster, and demon. So I'm going to go through my personal experience of each of those functions and see how you guys relate to it. So extroverted feeling in general is where we bounce off other people in a social situation. We care about other people and we view them as an important component in how we go about our lives. We care about others, we respect people's opinions, and we value who they are and to what we could consider the bigger purpose. When it comes to extroverted feeling being our fifth function, our opposing function, we see this as potentially social anxiety. It's anxiety about being around a crowd of people because we fear something. This could look like people pleasing. It could look like being conflict adverse or looking for social approval. See, when we're in a crowd of people, we as animals do seek to be accepted. That's a very normal and natural response. When it comes to the INFP, having this as our opposing function, our fifth function, the one that we deal with when we're not going through a good time, this is where we kind of hang up on the fact that we want to be approved by our social setting. We want approval, we want people to accept us for who we are, and when we're not feeling very good about ourselves, this can be a really difficult concept to get around. For me, this has translated a lot into my working life, where I've been working alongside people who may be my superiors and whom have wound up judging me. It's really difficult when you're in an environment where you feel like people want you to be a certain way when you're really not that way, and you feel that they're expecting you to change, but it's so hard for you to do so because you have introverted feeling. You are unapologetically yourself, and that's a really difficult concept to move. You don't want that to move. You want to just be accepted for who you are. So when you have people around you that don't accept you for who you are and you're not having a good time with that, then you're really kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And for me, dealing with these managers who were incredibly micromanaging, who didn't like who I was, who wanted to change me, who wanted to be someone I wasn't, I wound up being really people-pleasing to them. I tried to gain their approval by doing what they wanted, even though it went completely against my inner core values. And then to have the courage in order to speak up against these people when you're in a situation of conflict, it's even harder. The confidence in myself would drop. I didn't really accept who I was anymore. We want to be ourselves, we're unapologetically ourselves, and at the same time we're so sensitive and we don't like it when people criticize us because we feel that it's an attack on who we are. And then we feel like maybe we're not good enough, maybe we need to change. So our sixth function, introverted intuition. This is where we wind up overthinking absolutely everything. And I know you guys do that. I know you guys overthink. Gosh, when I am in a bad place mentally, this is one that really, really shines out to me because I'm an incredible overthinker. But I also see my overthinking in a good way. Like, I'm incredibly analytical. I think about things, I ponder over them. I wind up considering so many factions as to why things may happen, or why my life is the way that it is, or why my relationships are the way that it is, that it can be both good and bad. It just depends how you use it. So when it comes to it being our sixth function, and for it to be something negative, then that can turn into overthinking, which isn't very good for us. That can turn into overthinking. It can turn into neuroticism. It can turn into anxieties. For instance, with me, I've been dealing with obsessive compulsive disorder for a very long time. OCD has been a way for me to try and control my environment when I've felt out of control. When I was a teenager, I had an eating disorder. And again, it's because I wanted to be in control of something, because I felt so out of control in my life. It's because I always thought that something bad was going to happen and I needed to hold on to control so much to stop my whole life kind of unraveling. This sixth function had made me really pessimistic about things, always assuming the worst in a situation, a social situation, or something that I would be involved in. And that pessimism wound up being avoidant to things. So I would stop myself from going to events, for example, because I felt pessimistic, because I felt things were going to go wrong. This introverted intuition as a shadow function winds up becoming a positive feedback loop, which winds up leading into our seventh function, which is extraverted sensing. And extroverted sensing is where we create these bad habits that continue the positive feedback loop. If you're unfamiliar with the positive feedback loop, which was made famous by Jordan Peterson, it's basically when you spiral in a particular direction. So if you believe one thing, you'll act in a certain way, and then the way that you act will then reinforce what you already believed. And that can therefore spiral so out of control that you can feel a little bit like Howard Hughes. So extroverted sensing is where we continue with physical behavior that reinforces our excessive worry. This has been for me not learning how to drive. I have my learner's license, but it has taken me so long to get my restricted. And this is because of those positive feedback loops that I had been experiencing. When I was a teenager, I wasn't really interested in driving, and I was much more interested in playing music and art and my creativity. But what ended up happening is that I left it too long, and then I was like in my mid-20s and I had children by this stage, and I just felt awkward about it. Like, I'm too late. I feel like I'm too late. I feel like I'm not good enough to drive, because if I was, then I would have got my license already. So I wound up creating this positive feedback loop when it had come to being confident enough to run a vehicle myself. And this fear wound up being pushed into the fact that I didn't want to be a danger to anybody else on the road. But this is just a belief system that wound up getting way too out of control. And it was exemplified through my extroverted sensing. The bad habits that I created by saying, no, I'm not going to drive today. I'm not going to do a lesson today because I'm not feeling very good. I got a headache. I didn't sleep last night. I feel too anxious. And those bad habits create more bad habits. And then do you know what happens from there? Then I start to think so negatively of myself. I start to think, what the heck is wrong with me? Why can't I just be a normal person and go and get my license just like everybody else? Why do I have to be anxious about everything? Why do I have to live my life as such a sensitive person, feeling neurotic about absolutely everything? And this is where introverted thinking comes into play. That inner critic, that little demon on your shoulder who tells you you're not good enough to do anything, that little demon on your shoulder that tells you you're not good enough to get up on stage and sing a song because people are going to laugh at you. It's that little demon on your shoulder who tells you that you're not good enough to sit that test, or that you're not good enough to land that job because of who you are. It translates into rejection sensitive dysphoria because you've gone through life being anxious and neurotic and possibly failing at a couple of things, where your positive feedback loop is telling you, don't do the thing because it's scary. And then your inner critic, your little demon on your shoulder, is confirming those beliefs by telling you that you're not good enough. Now, all of these shadow functions can manifest in particular ways, such as emotional dysregulation, feeling like you're intellectually superior and engaging in debate, or rather, being a keyboard warrior, and I am guilty as charged. It could be entering a relationship and feeling like, this person's going to walk away, so I'm going to walk away from them first. I have certainly been there. I was there in high school where I pushed so many people away. And part of that was because I valued myself and was socially selective. And the other part of that was because I felt like I didn't want to be hurt by them. So I put up a brick wall. And the other part was I actually felt like I was somewhat better than them too. I felt like I am who I am. No one is good enough to be in my life. So it was a little bit of I didn't want to be hurt, and I felt superior in some way, shape, or form. Now, the positive thing about understanding that we have these shadow functions are two things. One of those things is understanding that we have this whole other side to us that's walking in the light. It's the amazing part about ourselves. It's the individualism. It's the standing up for the things that we believe in. It's the creativity. It's the open-mindedness. It's good to be able to pay attention to that and know that, that makes up a really large portion of who we actually are. There is no darkness without lightness. So even when you're feeling really bad about yourself, there is something way on the other side of the coin that actually is who you are. If we were all just our shadow functions, then the whole thing wouldn't exist. The second thing about it is that once we know and recognize what our shadow functions are and how we experience them, then we can work at healing all of that and bringing ourselves back into a place of balance once again. Our shadow functions are what they are. They come about when we are feeling really stressed, or when we are dipping into a spiral of ill mental health or other certain stresses in life. But we also know that those are the things that we can change and improve, and that it's really important for us to actually use our primary stack in order to heal the things that we don't want in our lives anymore. So I'd like you to tell me your experiences with your shadow stack. Tell me how you experience each and every one. And don't forget to check out Ana Luisa's Valentine special. I know you'll absolutely love them. I do. I'm absolutely in love with Ana Luisa. You can never go wrong with them. Highly recommended. For now, you guys, I hope you have a good day, night, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys all again for the next video. Bye.